como está? What's up? Feliz Navidad. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. And we don't say Merry Christmas. I don't give a fuck. I want to wish you a happy Ramadan. I want to wish you a happy Kwanzaa. I want to wish you everything that makes white people scream. Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to the official, the appropriate, the holiday version of Boobs and Booze. Why am I blurry? Why am I blurry? Am I blurry? Uh-oh. Do I need to start over again? Hold on. Thank you, Michael. Blurry is no bueno. I'm clear now. This is what happens when you travel with your laptop and you forget about certain things. I'm sorry. That looks a little better, right? Still funky. Holy Santa Claus shit. Okay, hold on. Noticing something. The pixels in my computer are really acting really funky. And I also, is it still really, because I'm not gonna lie, my MacBook is like 9 years old. So that it's on its way out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm wondering if the lighting, does that still look okay? Is it all right? Is it still funky? I'm noticing the pixels. He's like, proceed. All right. I'm going to ignore you for probably about 20 minutes, but I appreciate you. Thank you. Jingle balls, jingle all the way. Whatever disaster will we have on today? 2020. What do you think about 2020? Well, 2020 was hell. Looks like I'm going to be hopefully getting a new computer for Christmas because my shit is my shit's old, but so am I. Not kidding. Yeah, I went back to drinking. I should have had actually an appropriate wine glass, but I don't feel like being bougie tonight. I've been called bougie too much online, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And thank you, KB Format. Yeah. Jingle balls, jingle balls, jingle balls. All right, so, well, drink out the bottle. I'm not going to do that. That's tacky. I'm not. No, I'm going to drink this like I'm a Vietnam vet out of a cup. Or World War II. Or like a slave, because that's how white people want us. Can we talk about this? Let's talk. Come on. Let's talk. So the election has been over since November 3rd, and we are here. And can I just say, all right, let's talk. I'm gonna have to take my sweater off on this one. All right, let's talk about this. All right. I did vote for Jim Crow Joe. Oh no, the world's gonna end. But the reason why I voted for him is because I think I've said this before, But the only way that we can work ourselves up is to play the part and play chess and knock people out. All right, got it. But have you guys heard that audio? Have you guys heard the audio from Jim Crow Joe and how he's mad that since us black people put him in, he's like, you Negroes, stop asking me for all these demands. A few weeks ago, I appreciate the black vote. Uh-oh. My stream is unstable. Okay, we're back. So he's mad now that the Negroes want what we want because we put your old white ass in. So there's this let's see, I will read about it. I was just listening to it on the route. He was basically trying to he demanded silence from black civil rights leaders, demanding, listen, these are our demands. We put you in the office, so this is only fair. You owe us now. But of course, you got an old crotchety white man. Don't you I know more than you. I'm just waiting for him to say it. Just wait. And so this is when the real fight begins, because the Trump presidency was a wake-up call for some people, but for some of us, we already knew that the lid was about to pop off, because this is decades of the white wing, that they were about to pop off. They created this whole Frankenstein, and I'm just going to go back to Nixon. We can go back further, but after the Southern strategy, Nixon comes in '68. And by the way, fellow Americans, how come we never talk about Spiro Agnew? And I actually did a I think it was sophomore year in college, I did a paper on Spiro Agnew, because I was one of those like anti-Bush people, and I was always protesting. I'm like, protest the war. And then Katrina happened. I was even more pissed off. But we don't ever talk about Spiro Agnew. Spiro Agnew was the vice president who went to jail in the Nixon administration for corruption and taxes. The same shit that's going on with Trump. And Spiro Agnew was as cocky as Trump, but mind you, this is 1973. I believe he got indicted in 72 or 73. Please forgive me. It's been a while. But I also have Google at my fingertips, right? Spiro Agnew, he was, and by the way, another reason why we should talk about Spiro Agnew, this anti-immigration shit. Spiro Agnew was a white winger whose parents came from Greece in 1902, around that time. So he got treated like immigrants did at that time. But he came, the Agnew, he shortened it. Greek names are some of the hardest. I can pronounce Russian and Arabic names more than I can Greek names. Greek names have like beyond 10 syllables and then a G at the end. And I'm like, oh, actually, that's more Eastern European, more like a WYG. But anyway, Spiro Agnew, that's a part of American history we don't ever talk about. And even growing up as a kid, it was rushed through. Like, we all knew that, yay, Nixon was a bad president. But let's talk about Spiro Agnew, shall we? Come on down to the vault. All right. So, and this is modern day American history, again, that they don't want to talk about. So, Spiro Agnew was born in 1918 and he died in 1996. That's 2 years after Nixon, because I remember when that mofo died in 94. And people act like they're sad, but I was like 12 at the time. I'm like, I thought he was a bad president. But anyway, Spiro Theodore November 9th, 1918, and he died on September 17th, 1996. And he was the 39th Vice President of the United States, serving from 1969 until his resignation and arrest in 1973. He is the second most recent vice president to resign in position than John C. Calhoun. Calhoun was a dirty mofo. That was in 1832. But it was his scandal, Spiro Agnew. Now, I'm going to give you just a whole. This is a Spiro Agnew moment because it's going to translate to where we are today in modern. Well, this is modern politics, but how people like to whitewash the Republican Party. They like to forget this moment, but let's just reel it back in. Okay. Agnew was born in Baltimore, in an American-born city, to a Greek mother and a Greek immigrant father, and he attended Johns Hopkins and the University of Baltimore School of Law. And then he was appointed to zoning appeals in the 1950s. And in 1962, he was elected into the Baltimore County Executive. In 1966, Agnew was elected governor of Maryland, defeating his Democratic opponent, George P. Mahoney, and an independent candidate, Hyman Pressman. At the 1968 Republican convention, Richard Nixon asked Agnew to place his name in the nomination, in which he did. So Agnew and Agnew's centrist reputation interests Nixon. The law and order stance he had taken in the wake of the civil rights, that also appealed to aides such as Pat Buchanan, another racist. He's still alive too. Don't forget he ran in 1992, and I think he ran in 96. Yeah, Pat Buchanan did run in 1996. He's still alive. Why can't these old white men die? Anyway, they're evil. Agnew made Agnew made a number of gaffes during the campaign, but his rhetoric pleased many Republicans. By the way, this is at the moment, this is 1968. So Johnson is not popular. King is dead by this point, and Bobby Kennedy is about to get assassinated. I'll take 1968 over 2020. 68. I'll take you on. Yeah, I will. Agnew made a number of gaffes during the campaign, but his rhetoric pleased Republicans, and he made the difference in several key states. Nixon and Agnew defeated the Democratic ticket of Vice President Hubert Humphrey and his running mate, Senator Ed Muskie. Agnew was often called upon his attack of the administration's enemies. Agnew moved to the right, appealing to conservatives who were suspicious of moderate stance taken by Nixon. So basically, Agnew, parents from immigrants, first generation. First name Spiro, last name Agnew. By the way, people had a larger problem with JFK, who was Catholic. Y'all didn't have an issue with a full name Spiro Agnew? By the way, that name is cool. I would. I, I wish I had a multiple personality. I would name one Spiro, but the difference from 1968 to 60, where you had people who were so, and I was raised Catholic, recovering. But you had so many people 8 years earlier in 1960 who were upset about a Catholic coming into office. Oh my God, a Catholic! Ah, you see where I'm going with this, right? Hopefully you do. And then 8 years later, Spiro Agnew, the anti-immigrant, because the reason why in 1960, John F. Kennedy, the Kennedys, to some parts of America, they were weird to them was because they were Irish and Catholic. Catholic. Whoever. I was born in the 80s. So, I was born in the first regime of Reagan. You know, he's he's the head of the Frankenstein. Nixon's the arms. Nixon's the limbs. And I would have to say, I don't know, Reagan didn't have much of a brains. Actually, I scratched that. Opposite. Nixon would be the head, and Reagan would be the limbs, because Reagan was a paid actor and everything that he said was rehearsed. All right. So let's see. We are on to as vice president, Agnew was often called upon attack of the administration's enemies. In years of his presidency, Agnew moved to the right, appealing to conservatives who were suspicious of moderate stances taken by Nixon. In the 1972 presidential election, Nixon and Agnew were reelected for a second term, defeating McGovern and Sergeant Chevreul. Oh, history. What else happened in 1972? Who else was important in that election? And by the way, I found out some new information that she was not the first, but within the past 50 years, she is the first. Shirley Chisholm. Okay. So for a long time, people said that she was the oh my God, this came over my face. For a long time, everyone said that Shirley Chisholm was the first Black woman to run. It was actually a Black woman in the 1930s. I'll go back to that. Let me keep reading before I get drunk and before I can't read anymore. In 1973, Agnew was investigated by the United States Attorney of the District of Maryland, suspicion of crime, conspiracy, bribery, extortion, and tax fraud. Agnew took kickbacks from contractors during his time in Baltimore County executive and governor of Maryland. The payments had continued into his time as vice president, and they had nothing to do with the Watergate scandal, in which he was not implicated. After months of maintaining his innocence, Agnew pleaded no contest to single-family charges of tax evasion. Resigned from office, Nixon replaced him with Gerald Ford. Agnew spent the remainder of his quality time. I thought Agnew went to jail. Am I wrong? We're talking about. Hold on 1 second. I remember. Oh, after months of maintaining his innocence, he got a single felony charge in tax evasion and resigned from it. There's this I was wrong. Shit. I wrote the paper like Spiro Agnew versus Bush at the time, so this is like 15 years ago when I wrote, so I had to remember these things. But yeah, he pleaded guilty and they suspended his prison sentence. He was fined $10,000. That's right. Yeah, that happened. That's it. Do you have any bouquets? I don't have any bouquets. All right. So basically what we're dealing with is the same BS that is going on to this very day. But what we're going to see is nothing happened. All right. So that's enough about Spiro Agnew. Wasn't that sexy? Yeah, so sexy. All right. What else is going on in the news? Oh, so I live in California and we are at a shutdown. Am I happy about it? No. Why am I not happy about it? Because we need money. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we need to learn a lot about civics and we need to know how our government works. A lot of us don't know how our government works. And so what's going on is, oh, cool, you live in Washington State, see? But the thing is, in order for us to shut down, and I'm for it, if we have money, and I'm more worried about, I'm okay for right now. There's no guarantee. But I have friends that own small businesses. I have places that I go to, and I still, whenever I can, I still support them with what little money I have left because of this thing. But we need money. We need money to stay home. And do you know who is holding it up? Mitch McConnell. Surprise! Is anyone surprised by that? Are you surprised? No one's surprised by that. So if you don't know, Mitch the bitch, whose skin is turning black because he's that evil, has been refusing to sign, and there is a bipartisan bill, bipartisan, meaning Democrats and Republicans, for those who don't understand when I say bipartisan. A bill that is on the table for, and by the way, we need to stop saying stimulus. Stimulus is to build up the economy. We're at an emergency fund. Emergency fund is not a stimulus. Thank you, Katie Porter, representative in Irvine, California. Love her. And Nina Turner from out of Ohio. I'll get into Nina Turner in a moment. But basically, Mitch McConnell is the one that is holding all this up because he is in the pockets of obviously big corporations, and those corporations do not want to be liable for their employees getting sick with the virus and then having to get sued for their health code violations within that company. So, in other words, if I was to work at Purdue Chicken or here's a better example, Tyson Foods. Tyson Foods has a big lawsuit because during COVID, or excuse me, early stages of COVID, um, Tyson Tyson plant did not want to shut down. Many of its employees got sick. They tried to go home. The I believe it was either the product manager or what have you. How about I just read this story? But basically, Tyson Foods has a big lawsuit now because they're in charge of, I believe, many deaths during COVID, and there was certain higher in upper people were betting on who would get COVID next. It's disgusting. It's just this is about the haves or have nots by this point. Let's see. All right. Tyson Food managers bet on workers giving COVID-19 lawsuit, says. This is from BBC. This is real news. Supervisors at an Iowa Tyson Foods, a major U.S. meat processor, placed bets on how many workers would become infected with coronavirus as the outbreak raged through the plant this spring. A wrongful death suit alleges. The lawsuit filed this week by the son of the employee who died with COVID claims the company demonstrated wanton wanted disregard of workers' safety. I'm sorry. I'm reading like a lush. Slowing down. Isiando Fernandez, who died in April, was one of more than 1,000 workers infected amid the plant's outbreak. So this is what Mitch McConnell is trying to stop. So he has a lot of he's in the pockets of all these corporations. And so these kind of lawsuits, what he's trying to do in order for us, the American people, to bow down to him, he is basically trying to coerce the Senate to sign a way to make sure that these interests don't get sued if their employees get sick with COVID. And here's something, I don't know, I know a little bit about the law. I have a couple lawyers in my family. I'm not a lawyer, but there's health safety violations all up in there that Mitch McConnell is trying to disregard. And he has people like Tyson and Purdue Chickens and Butterball in his pocket. And also other coal industry. It's because he's coming out of Kentucky. So ain't nothing, keep information. Oh, thanks. Oh, it's raining, brother. We're getting rain. Rain. And we need it. I'm in California. So it's going to be a damp weekend. So basically, Mitch McConnell is the one that is holding all the monies back for PPP for the extension for any kind of unemployment, for any kind of package, relief package. Let's get this word stimulus out of the way because that is true. Katie Porter did say like this is not a stimulus. Stimulus is what we got during the George Bush era of 2007. You remember that? I do because I got a check. That's a stimulus. This is not a stimulus. This is a protection. We pay into this. This is our money, and we're not getting it because he's trying to protect his donors from people, small people like you and I. If we go back to work and we get sick and we're forced to go back into work, they will not be held accountable, and we can't take off. It's some very medieval, not even medieval, it's some 1920 pre-union, like just some horse shit. Like it's everything that you would think if you want to go back to, if you want to make America great again, think about what the union or what the workers did before 1910. Haymarket riots, Haymarket riots, excuse me. He wants to go back to those conditions of the Haymarket riots and the days of like, and that was just poor white people. I'm not even talking about us. And this whole thing that, oh, the immigrants. And by the way, mm, mm, Black people don't you buy onto that the immigrants are taking our job shit. Don't you do that. Why don't do that. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because you know what that is. It's the same thing that they did to us and they'll do it again. The the Negroes are taking our jobs, so we gotta kill them. It's the same thing. Don't you fall for that okie doke. Don't you do that. Because I'm hearing some people, especially on YouTube, these anti-immigrant. That's white supremacy. How you gonna be pro-black and talk like a white supremacist? Just saying. And I get it. I'm from the Midwest. I'm not a California girl. I'm not from the ocean. I will say I'm from a middle class family that struggled and made their own business, and I saw them work hard and they had a great work ethic and they were successful. And I got to reap the benefits of that, but they also taught me how to work hard. And they also taught me the truth about how business works. And that kind of scared me off to why I don't own my own business now. But that's neither here or there. But yeah, no, I'm not a Valley girl. I'm from Missouri. I'm from the Ozarks originally, son. See, I say, even when I was even when I was growing up, people thought I was from California. They said like, "Oh my gosh, you talk like a white girl or a Valley girl." And I'm like, I thought I talked proper. But anyway, mm, let's move on. Let's talk about Little Wayne. Okay, I'm gonna say this about Little Wayne. No, I don't like him. I don't want him. I do not like that gremlin. But I need to fall back to on my rhetoric on Little Wayne or Little Coon, Little Wayne Coon, Coon Wayne. So Little Wayne didn't listen to Prince. Didn't read Sam Cooke's book. Didn't read about Stevie and his math. Just didn't pay attention. I mean, hell, he didn't even pay attention to Dre, and he's a bitch beater, and I have issues with that. Hater. But I would probably fit into Dre's harem because Oh, hell no. Actually, I take that back. No, no. That's a joke. Lil Wayne, I do not like him. I do not want him. I do not understand his green eggs and ham, nor do I understand why. Why? I do not understand his syrup. I do not like his syrup. If I have his syrup on pancakes, I do not like them. If I had syrup on pancakes, I did not want them. But I don't understand, nor can I stand a Lil Wayne. But on the here side, in their side, Lil Wayne was always a little bit troubled. There is a little baby who was a little monster who actually literally took advantage of that little boy. And so now we have a little man who is still tracing back to him being a little boy. But we still call him Lil Wayne. And this is how we are now when you call yourself. He sold his masters. Are we at the point of we're trying to get our master? But that's him. He's high. And plus, he doesn't experience racism. And he pleaded guilty to, and he wants to take responsibility. Look, I don't feel sorry for that motherfucker. You know why? I don't feel sorry for him because he has not had anyone, or we're the public. We don't know this person either. Obviously, he's not gotten therapy or gotten help from the traumatic experiences that turned him this way. Mind you, I was in high school, like Lil Wayne and I are about the same age. I think he was born in 83. Yeah, we're about the same age. Yeah, I look better than Lil Wayne. He aged like a gremlin, but we know why he aged. And part of me, my thing is this, there's a point in time in life where you have to get help if you know, or just step away. But what he did was stepping into Black people's hearts and making us hate him and step away from him more because what he was saying, and you know why I mean on Lil Wayne. Ugh. He's a coon. He's a coon. That's why I don't like Black lives don't matter. Racism does exist. He's a colorist. But you know what? I also have to think about the fact that everything I mentioned that happened in his past, but first of all, I got family in Nolans, so the little baby thing, that's dramatic. Him accidentally shooting himself, and then Officer Bob says him. By the way, Officer Bob got fired for beating a Black man because remember, Lil Wayne said there's no racist cops, and Officer Bob was my hero. He was talking about that blue lives matter bullshit. And by the way, there are some good cops, mostly bad. But he was in denial. But what it was is trauma. And so I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's really hard for me to give him the benefit of the doubt, especially when you're at my age, when we're at the point of like, we have to pick up our bones. We have to pick up our responsibility. Like I just had to admit some shit to my cousin about how parts of my character used to be at one point in time, and how I had to learn and evolve from that, you know? And so, but he didn't have a great support system to evolve. He didn't have family. He just had brutalizers. So I got to put that into play, but also too how influential he is. He's hurting a lot of people by, well, he's not hurting a lot of people. He's hurting himself. It's not like he's a SoundCloud rapper. He's been around since I was in high school. It's these other ninjas. Mm. Speaking of ninjas, let's talk about accountability. Hip hop. So Jim Jones and the bitch beater, Fabulous. He should call himself Fabulous Bitch. I fucking hate that motherfucker. I really fucking hate that. I don't understand why y'all just, but that's hip hop has let me down. I can't, I don't get it. I don't, hip hop is just, when white people come in and infiltrate the whole game and it just takes, and I'm not talking about all white people, come on. No. I'm talking about the white interest that doesn't have any interest in the culture. I'm talking about those who don't appreciate it. And then those are also people within our culture that are snakes that do the same thing, Puffy, who don't pay their artists and they do the same grimy stuff. So let's see. Let's talk about rappers getting soft now. They were talking about how hip hop is the most dangerous, uh, the most dangerous job. Mm. I'll be right back. No, I'm just kidding. What is it? It was a Jim Jones, and Jim Jones is dusty. He's so dusty. Like he looks like he don't wash, and he looks like his bong hasn't been cleaned, or like you don't want to smoke a pipe from Jim Jones because it's grimy. Yeah, that's what Jim Jones, or like he would use the same condom. Yeah, I've met him in person. Yeah, it's just, yeah, what is it? Hip hop is rappers have a dangerous job. Sorry, I'm looking and doing two things. All right. So this is from allhiphop.com, in which I do subscribe to. I like allhiphop.com. Jim Jones and Fabulous say rapping is the most dangerous job in the United States. Kidding me. How soft. Now, okay, hear me out. For those PC people who want to get after me, I'm not PC. And I'm not saying soft has to do anything with being male or female. No, actually, these males are soft. And it's dangerous what they're saying. And it's actually taken away from what the artistry is really about. But let's hear what these soft Negroes want to say. Jim labeled the job as one of the most deadliest jobs on the planet and said that his job is more dangerous than being a soldier at war, which prompted massive backlash because he's been to war. He's been to Iraq. He's had a time where he like had to be pulled away from his like, I don't know, tank and like be like, hey, no FUBU here, but you can come to my bunker. Total rag. But the rap star's comments may be justified over the last several months. No, that shit ain't justified. Those comments right there are disrespectful to those brothers who leave the hood and go into the military. Salute you, brothers that actually want to go to a real battleground and actually achieve things. That's disrespect. He decided to choose. He chose that. Accountability, my brother. But he doesn't know anything, because he was hanging out with Takashi 6ix9ine. Why would you trust someone like that? And then you got Fabulous, who is a bitch beater and who punches women's teeth out, and not that good of a rapper. And I only know him from the early 2000s. I don't care about him. Him and Chingy, I thought Fabulous was from St. Louis, and thank God he wasn't. Still like Chingy more. Ding. But the fact that, okay, how about this? As a child of the 90s that grew up, I was born in the 80s, so I grew up with, the freaks come out, freaks come out. And like Slick Rick, my first hip hop concert was in 1988 with my cousin, and I was young, very young, one of my earliest memories. But it was Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew in 1988. And I fell in love, and I knew, I'm like, I love this music. I love this. This is new. This is everything. And, from there on, I was a hip hop head till 1997. When the take that after Biggie died, take that, and like everything became pop and stuff and puffy and Little Kim, yes. Um, do I hang out with black women's? Is that what you're asking? Of course I do. What? If that's what you're what? Do I hang out with black women's? Is BWs mean black women? I am black, right? Most of my girlfriends are black. We just come from a different class. I don't know. Rephrase. Can you? Come on, Michael. Anyway. But here's one thing, Michael. I'm from a small town in the Ozarks in Southwest Missouri, so I had to get what I could get back in the 90s, and then I moved to St. Louis in 94 and started being weirder and expanded my music horizons. But all I used to do was as a child was eat, sleep, and drink Prince, David Bowie, and hip hop. That was like nonstop. A lot of Prince, who's still my favorite of all time, but a lot of hip hop. But seeing as being a child of the 90s, yeah, I, the thing is, we had a balance, and even in the 2000s, hear me out. I was a music Nazi even more in the early 2000s, and hear me out on this one. Like I really, what got me back into hip hop because after 1997, I fell off. But I was into like Black Alicious and the Roots, and of course Tribe. And I was like in junior high, going into high school in the late 90s, like 97, 98, and the Roots and like Erykah Badu and Common were coming out. So that was what I liked. I stepped away. Um, oh, and of course, Goody Mob and Outkast. God, and Busta. Oh my God, Busta Rhymes is one of my personal favorites, and I've seen him live, and he did actually pass the Cavassier to me. So, all right, but again, I've told you I'm a hip hop head, and then the 2000s come, and then I moved to Chicago to go to art school, and at that time, Kanye was blowing up slowly. And that dusty motherfucker Twister. But Common was already around. And then had Kanye was great. I still listen to Kanye. And it hurts. Because I thought that was like, I'm like, this is a voice of our, this is artistic. This is a voice. Oh my, We Major with him and Nas. Ooh, 10 minutes going back and forth like that. That is some heat, man. And then, you got NERD. And of course, I already said Nas. And of course, I liked Eve. I like me some Eve. I did have the Scorpion album. Yes, it is pop, but I liked Eve. Let Me Blow Your Mind. That came out when I was in high school. That shit was dope. And then in the mid 2000s, you got the Yin Yang Twins. Okay. I just recently learned to like myself, knowing the fact that I was one of those broads when through the windows to the walls, to the sweat drops off my balls, make all those bitches crawl. All skeet skeet, motherfucker. All skeet skeet, goddamn. Okay, those are good lyrics, and I still remember them to this very day. But when that song would come on, I would get off the dance floor. I did. I was too much of a feminist because I was like 19, 20, like, I'm not doing, you're not talking about me. No, you ain't talking about me. But I will say it of that era of the Yin Yang Twins and then like T-Pain. I hate that auto-tune bullshit. I hated that. And then that crunk, I hated that. But the Whisper song by the Yin Yang Twins is really kind of brilliant still. I will say that. Wait till you see man. What you see man. Ooh. Okay, we're not gonna go there. But very clever. And that's like an 03, 04. And then, okay, let me go back to 2001. Because 2001 is actually when I went back to hip hop, and it was Ludacris, Southern Hospitality, Rolling Bowls. It was the summer I was in New Orleans, and Hot Bowl. It was Lil Wayne. It was Ludacris. Uh, oh my gosh, Juvenile. That's '01. So yeah, that's like, I think that was like the year I graduated. Yeah. So great era of hip hop. And then we flash forward, and then, but where we are now, and I'm even thinking about that, that was all party music, like Fat Joe and like all those cats, Foxy Brown, like we had some songs about a couple of times about popping someone. And plus, I'm a two pop. Growing up in the 90s, we always talked about popping someone, but it was storytelling. It was storytelling. Like Ice Cube. I love Ice Cube. I think he's poetic. I have my issues with him. I do not completely disagree with what Ice Cube did. He's questionable, but everything's questionable. But coming from that school of thought, you have to realize that no, rappers, you are not the victims here. You have to take accountability. When you start putting all that death culture out there, it's the power of the tongue. When you keep going at people and you flash in, first of all, who wants to flash during this pandemic? People are thirsty. People are desperate. I mean, we're not even in the crack epidemic and people are getting shot. What? Ain't nobody get murdered for some starter coats. See, that's the era I come from. A starter jacket or some Jordans. You're just getting shot because somebody said something to you on Instagram? Psh, there's something wrong with us. But again, neither here or there. Uh, but to hear like Fabulous and Jim Jones talk about how hip hop is the most dangerous occupation. Have they ever heard about what's going on with COVID or being a construction worker or tow truck drivers are really, that's a dangerous job too. Like these motherfuckers are soft. Yo, being a rapper is the most dangerous job right now. You kidding me? You kidding me? I don't. That's like being a hip hop artist is the most dangerous job. That is not someone that I would ever. And ladies, you flock to it. I'm too old for this shit. Hold that thought. Hey,